Hi everyone, I'm Chris Wolf with KMK Board Certification Review Services, and what I wanted to do today is take you through the ABO's tutorial that they have online, show you where it's at, and show you how to use some of the tools. It's fairly straightforward, and I would recommend that everybody goes to it. So here we are at kmkoptometryboardcertification.com, and let's change over to the American Board of Optometry at www.abopt.org. So that'll bring us to their webpage. And what you'll see here, I mean, most people will be fairly familiar with all of this information. But if you look down here, this is fairly new, the exam tutorial. And what this does is allows you to, it takes you through what it will be like to click on different things for the test. Now you can take this examination tutorial at any Prometric site, but it costs $30. So the only advantage with doing that is that you actually get to go to the physical site and see what the room feels like and kind of go through your normal routine. And that may be wise if you want to get rid of some of the butterflies. What we tell students a lot of times when they're preparing for national boards is familiarize yourself with the location of where you're going to be taking the test, because you're going to be a little bit nervous no matter what happens when you start taking the test. And that way the familiarity, the newness of the location kind of goes away. So if we click the examination tutorial, what you'll see is it comes up with this screen, and it talks about the examination tutorial. So first of all, if you click start, you'll see this pop up, and it says it has a candidate image. And what this is likely is when you submitted your $300 and you initially applied to become an active candidate, you submitted a photo, and I would be very surprised if this wasn't the photo that you submitted. So it asks you, is this you? Is this your information? And then you'll click yes. If not, then you'll click no, and you'll contact the test administrator. So this talks about the tutorial, and it's going to give you a big picture overview of what's going on. One of the things that I'll point out, that this box points out, is that there's this time remaining tab, and that just gives you a countdown on how much time is left in your examination. Then you'll see as we go through here that fairly easy, you're navigating forward and backward, and you're using a mouse. So click the next box, and this screen shows you how to use a mouse. So the whole idea is that they want to make this as easy as possible for anybody that's not used to using computers. If they're having a difficulty time, if they're new to computers, they want to make sure that everybody knows how to use it. So if you look here, obviously you can move the mouse around, and then it gives you a sample question. You can answer A or you can answer B. And we'll talk about some strategies with that coming up. Now you'll also notice here that if you can click previous, you can go back to the previous page, or you can click next to go to the following page. Now that allows you to move back and forward through the examination as you want to, so you can move from one question to the next and the next, and then back if you rethought the answer to another question. Now if we click next here again, we're on our fourth page, and this is, I think, a pretty interesting tool, and I think it's pretty wise. Again, the whole goal was to allow us to simulate a paper test as realistically as possible, and so we can now mark items that we wanted to review again if we weren't sure about them, or if we want to come back to them because we didn't answer them. You can click a mark box, so that'll be present. This mark box will be present on any time, any item on the examination. Once a question is marked, then obviously it will be labeled as marked until you click that mark again, and it will unmark the question. So we'll talk about why that will be important in just a few minutes. So this also talks about, and you'll see on the next screenshot that there's the ability to move up and move down. If there's not enough, if the case or the question doesn't fit entirely on the page itself, there's a way you can scroll up and scroll down, or even horizontally scroll from side to side. It's very similar to what you would see on any website. Now, I like the strikeout feature, because what this allows us to do is select options that are incorrect, and so you may be able to narrow down your choices down to 2 by eliminating 2 answers, and so this allows you to eliminate those answers very easily and succinctly. So our sample question says, what color is the sky? And you just click on the word rather than on the radio dial. So if you look here, it's not purple, it's not yellow, obviously it's not green, and I can click blue. Now one of the other things I wanted to show you is that you can if you decided that, nah, I'm not 100% sure about what they're asking, so maybe it's yellow, you can unselect that by just clicking the line again. The other thing to remember is that if you select, the only way to unselect, once you've selected an item, the only way to unselect is to click a different item, so or a different answer choice. So obviously we'll leave that there. Now the other thing is that you'll have this scrolling tab off to the side, which you can click on and drag down, or if you drag it back up, you can make smaller changes or very large changes by clicking at the bottom there. Now we'll go through a few sample questions that are fairly obvious and straightforward. They don't pertain to optometry, and they're just to give you a feel for how these questions will be presented to you. So let's click the next button. The heart belongs to which one of the following body systems? So it's not digestive. No, I don't think it's central nervous, endocrine. Okay, so it's our circulatory. And then we'll click next again. It's not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. And so it doesn't really matter. I mean, we can answer anything here. You can still select out or unselect things. So we'll move on with that. This is an interesting one. I want to point out a little bit of a point here. Now, it says, image shown in this exhibit is a radiograph of the what? Now, if you look down here, it'll say exhibit. And if you click on the word exhibit, it brings up this photo. And when you look at this photo, obviously it's, you know the answer. But that's how any items that have photos associated with them will be presented on the examination. So we know that it's not the lower leg, the hip, the wrist, so it's the chest. Now, this is the last portion that we're going to talk about. It's one of the last keys. If you look up here again, we have our time remaining is 2 minutes. One of my recommendations would be is that if you see a question that you're not 100% sure on, but you think you know the answer, I would likely try to answer that question and mark it at the same time, rather than leaving it incomplete and having 2 columns of things for you to go back and review. So what this allows you to do is it shows you all the numbers of questions, the questions that you marked, the questions you left incomplete, and the questions that are totally complete. Now, if you complete every line and then go back just to your marked ones, you don't have to worry about this column anymore. So that's how I would like to do it. Is I would try to take my best guess on the initial one and then move on by marking it as well, so I can go back and review it again. This allows you to review all. If you click the review all button, once you get to this stage of your examination, you can review every single question. You can review only your marked questions, and you can review only your incomplete questions. So that's a way you can go through your examination and focus on the ones that you weren't 100% sure about. And you can do it however you want to do it. My recommendation would be to answer all of them the first time and then go back and just look at your marked ones, meaning that those are the ones you weren't 100% sure about. Okay, so that's the end of the tutorial. Once you get to this section of the test, and you'll have the option to go back. So if you notice down here, you still have your previous option. But once you click the End Examination button, you can no longer go back. So this says this will end the tutorial. You say yes, and then it says at that point it'll tell you thank you for testing Prometric. You can't go back into the examination once you've finished it. So that's the overview of the ABO's tutorial for the Prometric testing sites. And what I would do is definitely visit the website if you haven't already, go through the examination tutorial so you feel comfortable doing all of the things that I just showed you doing, and once you walk into that site, it's not an unfamiliar place to you. And keep up with your studies. You guys are going to do great, and we will see you on the next video.